Hi everyone. In this video today, I'll talk with you about web programming with Flask and Bootstrap. First, to start with, you need to install Flask in the Anaconda prompt window. Type in pip install Flask. Pip install Flask. For more information regarding Flask, please see this. And if you want, you can use Jupyter Notebook to run Flask applications, but actually better to run this way in the Anaconda prompt. Just run Python and then the name of the py file, and once you run this, it would give you an URL, and just copy that URL and paste to the address bar of your web browser and run it. Talking about Bootstrap, Bootstrap is a free and open source front-end framework for designing websites and web applications. So it have many good things regarding CSS for forms. CSS, like you can think about like styles, designs for forms, buttons, and many web elements, and also JavaScript extensions as well. So in order to use Bootstrap in the same directory where you store the py files, create a subdirectory, namely templates, and then in the templates directory you create HTML files. In this example, that file is transaction.html, and then in the head tag of the template file, specify JavaScript and CSS, and that links to Bootstrap CDN. This is remotely hosted, so that when it runs, you don't have to download or set up anything. Basically, it looks like this. There is bootstrap.min.css, bootstrap theme.min.css, and the JavaScript extension.js. Now talk about routing. After importing Flask, you would create an instance of the Flask class, and let's give it a name app. Right? Okay. Later on, you can see there are two roots in this example. Here, this single slash. This single slash binds the root to the index function. So when the user or yourself go to the web browser and enter something like, for example, localhost, right? localhost, it is because you run the web server on your own computer, so it is always localhost. And then let's say the port number is by default 5000. Just this, right? Or you can have HTTP, which is the name of the protocol. You have, you enter this, or even the slash, right? This slash actually is this one that we talk about, into your browser. Then Python will bring this web page transaction.html to your web browser. So basically, when you go to web browser, you see this HTML page. Now, in this web page, you have a form with several HTML elements, such as the text box or the input. You can enter who the money is from, and another input for who the money is to, and another text box for the amount of the money, and a button for submitting the form. So the form has an attribute called action. The action specifies where the data is sent. Right? So in the form, let's say you send to result. Right? You send to slash result. This route binds or maps this URL result, or in full it is something like this: http slash localhost colon 5000 slash and result. So this URL is then mapped to the transaction function. So when the form is submitted and data is then submitted, in the function you check if the request method is post or get. If it is post, then you get the data by request.form. Right? Request.form get all the data submitted in the form, and actually return should go to the next line. Right? Return what? Return the same web page transaction.html, but then you want to pass some data, right? Pass some data to the web page as well, which is result, right? Which is the result that you got from here. So the result would be then displayed on this HTML page. And here this is to run the application on port 4001. Okay, this is what you see on the form with 3 inputs. as I said about, and the submit button. The underlying code is like this. Basically, you would just look at where the form is. Okay, this is a form. The form says, okay, this is action. Right? When the form is submitted, meaning when this submit button is clicked, right, data from the form will be sent to this URL, right? This URL using the post method. Okay, so here we have three inputs, and they are here and there and there. So for each input, we have the name. Very important, right? The name. This actually, each input actually is like a variable, right? A variable. So you need the name for the variable, right? So the name here is from, the name there is to, and the name for the last one is amount. Okay, so those are important for programming. Other than that, the rest is more for designing, meaning for showing the elements nicely on the web browser. Right? For example, a placeholder. Placeholder is a string that displays in the text, in the inputs, right? When there is no data yet, then it show, okay, enter the payer's name, right, here, enter the payee's name, right, there, right? Enter the amount to pay in there, and also you want to have a diff, right? Diff is for division, right? To define different parts um, of the layout. So this part is aside the class container, and the row is form. And that's important to give it this look. And this is decided by the Bootstrap um, library. Okay. Um, in the another div, we have several rows, right? Several divs actually, several divs with class row. So we have 3 rows, and in each row we also have smaller divs. The smaller divs have the class something like call XS6. Right? So as you know, the width of the whole screen is 12. So if you say 6, it takes half the width of the screen. So that's very much like that. If you run this in the web browser, you will see. Basically, this is what we already discussed in the previous slide. And when the result is returned, then the same page transaction.html is called and passed the result to it, right? And you want to display the result. Right? So for displaying variables, use curly brackets, use a double curly brackets. So remember, we pass a variable, namely result. Result is a dictionary. So you look in result.items for key and value, and print the value as also key. Actually, this is actually one in one row together. This should be one row together. Displaying the key column and then the value. So looking at the browser, it would say, for example, someone the key, for example, is like from, right? From person A, right? And then the next iteration is show another key, which is 2, right? And then person B, and in the next iteration it show the amount, right? And then the amount, the real amount of money, right? And code is written in inside the curly bracket percentage, right? Basically, you check if there is result or not. If there is, then print something like this, right? Print the transaction was successful, and then print all the from, to, and amount, and give the diff this class. This class show the alert info in half of the width of the screen. Talking a little bit more about form summation. The inputs on the form are very much like variables that carry data to send to another URL. Specify the action attribute of the form tag. This actually we talked about in the previous slides. And the method of the form can be get or post or put, etc. But get and post are very much common. If data is sent in get, then you can see data on the address bar of the web browser. So let's say on the form, if I change the method from post to get, then once you click the submit button, then on the address bar you will see something like this. So after the main URL that we had before, after the question mark, there is the query string, and you can see the variables and the values go in pair, right? So from, which is the key, and len, which is the value, to is a key, and tom is value, amount is a key, and 10 is a value. However, if you don't see the variables on the bar, on the address bar, then probably you use a post request, and there are ways to see the value as well as the value of the variables using some browser tools, but they are not covered in this lecture.